Welcome back to Derbyshire Dales. Now on this video I'm going to be working on the loco shed and the hard standing for it. Now I built the loco shed out of, I think it's 4mm MDF, just a bit of scrap bit I had. But to make the actual doors, I made everything up in, well, the gable ends I made up in cardboard first. So I kind of put that over before the hard standing was here to get, you know, to get me clearance from the loco either side on both tracks. And you'll notice that I've got quite a bit of head height here. And the reason for that is that when I finish this model, I want to put some doors that, you know, these are they Constantina or rolling doors? I want to put one of them across so that it clears the roof. As the loco comes into the shed, you'll kind of see the door about there, just to give it a little bit of a finishing touch. So I cut out them holes and then I simply transferred the shape over to another piece of card before cutting the MDF, and that was really simple to cut the MDF. It can actually be cut with a Stanley blade. I only found that out after, when I was, you know, I cut down here with a saw down these bits and then I went across the top with a Stanley blade on here, or a Stanley knife should I say, and you can actually get through it on a couple of passes. You can get through this stuff. How strong it's going to be, it feels quite strong. It's just glued together with super glue. Talking about super glue, here's a little tip: have a bit of plasticine and keep your super glue upright all the time. So let's move the loco out the way. Yeah, keep it upright so you can get the lid back off, because it all drains to the bottom when you finish using it. So the hard standing itself I'm making out of corrugated cardboard. Got loads of this stuff, and all I'm doing is PVAing that in place, and then I'll tell you why the super glue's out. So that first piece of cardboard is going in between the sleepers, so I've got a gap either side. Now I want to close that gap up. So what I'm using, what I found was, if I use two pieces of this, it's a little bit too thick. So I'm just using Amazon packaging. I've got loads of these, funny enough, because I'm building a model railway. So I'm using that, and it's working out quite well. What I am doing is running a little bead of super glue on the edges of the cardboard, and then just putting a bead of PVA up the middle, and then I'll finish this section. Might come out to about here to have a little bit of a yard, and then I'll show you how I'm actually going to finish this. So I'm just coming to a curved section of the track, and the way I get around that is I offer the card up to where I roughly want it, and then just run my finger along, and it'll leave an indentation in the cardboard. I can come in, cut the curve out with a pair of scissors, do it the right way around, Andy. And then, like I said, I'm going to have a little bit of a yard area here. So then I'll come in with the straight edge, just to continue it along a little bit. There. I'll probably have quite a big yard, so make sure your tracks aren't live while you're doing all this, by the way. Kind of like that. I've got to think about where the other tracks are going to go. So maybe there. And then I'll cut that bit out and glue it down as normal. Right, so for the surface, for the actual concrete, I'm using this stuff. which is a, I think they call it Modroc, but there's different manufacturers that make it. Basically, it's just a plaster bandage. It does get everywhere, as you can see, and you do get a few little strands out of it. Now all you have to do is wet this stuff. You can see here in between the tracks I've got pieces of cardboard. I'm going to do them individually because I don't want to wreck my rails, and I've got enough clearance for the flanges on the locos, hopefully. So yeah, all you have to do is wet it with warm water. Let's see how we get on with that. Now, just before I start setting everything in concrete, I'm going to test the tracks and my soldering, because I've soldered the drop wires down on each end of these for the DCC, and hopefully, which one am I doing now? Brown, which is to the back. Hopefully you'll see when I touch the rail, we get 9.2 volts. Because I'm using a little 9-volt battery to test the continuity. Even though this can do it, it's not very reliable, I've found. So I always use a different power source. Maybe it needs a battery replacement, I don't know. This one's the blue wire, which is the front. Yeah, so 9.2. Happy with all that. Now I've just got to test the back ones. Right, so I've got my warm water. Time to get dirty, I suppose. So all we do is drop that in there, apparently. Lay it onto where you want it. I'm not bothered about blemishes and all that kind of thing. It is the TMD yard after all, and no concrete in the world is absolutely perfect, but you can see how it's coming together there. Like I said, I've never used this stuff in my life before. I bought this really to do the scenery, but I've got rolls and rolls of it. I will put a link in the description to the cost. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do first is I'll put something on the screen for the cost. A little bit short there for some reason, and I need a towel. Hold on, be back. Right, yeah, so I've got a towel now. I will put the cost of this and a Amazon link in the description for this product that I'm using. I don't think it was expensive. I've got loads of it. I've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rolls. I don't think it's actually Modroc, but it's something similar. Right, just sort this bit out here. As you can imagine, working with wet materials that want to play their own game, it can be a bit troublesome to get them to behave themselves. A few days later, I'm not entirely happy with this finish on here. I have started working on the engine shed. It's not finished yet by any means. It needs like some, I'm going to use the Metcalf bricks for the sides. It needs kind of a door, windows on the back. Not even started down that side yet, but you get the idea where it's going to be positioned on the hard standing. Right, let's just put that out of the way for a second. Yeah, so like I say, I'm not particularly happy with this finish. So what I've done, been out, bought some all-purpose filler, 151. I think it was £1. And what I thought I'd do is try and just smooth it over a little bit. Again, not sure how this is going to work, but we'll see how it goes. My idea being that once I've got a dollop on, I can then smooth it over with a bit of water. And I can tell already that that's already looking better. A lot smoother finish, which was what I was after in the first place. So yeah, you don't want to be watching me doing this, so I'll carry on and bring you back in a little bit. It's going to get everywhere, this stuff. That's why I put masking tape around the outside. And the rails are definitely going to need cleaning after this. Right, it is looking a lot smoother. I've just took my scraper and run it down the inside edge of the rail. I should have just done plaster of Paris trick with this really. Yeah, so we'll have to leave it to dry now. I can sand down little bits, little areas, and we'll see how this turns out. Or have I just wrecked me layout? That is the question. Right, bring you back when this is dry.